You guys look like... What do they look like, Jimmy?
Dorks. They look like a couple of dorks.
Get those nerds! Nerds! Nerds!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What? Are you kidding? We got us a family here. Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
You are listening to the In the Mouth of Dorkness podcast, the official podcast of the Alamo Drafthouse, Winchester.
Welcome to another edition of the ItModcast podcast. Joining me, riding shotgun, is Brian Young.
God, I love being a turtle!
The Turtle Dork.
Here we go. AK-47, when you absolutely positively got to kill every motherfucker in the room, except no substitutes.
And I'm your host, Darren Smith.
Warm, warmer, disco.
The Disco Dork. No! It was a lease! How could it explode? It didn't even have any fuel in it. And welcome to another edition of the ItModcast podcast. Wait, it's not Friday yet.
No, it's not.
It's actually, spoilers, it's actually Sunday, and we're on our way to the Alamo Drafthouse in One Loudon.
This is the mobile edition.
Yeah, the mobile edition. So apologies for the any audio discrepancies you may or may not have. The sound quality is not what it is usually because we are recording from within the cabin of my transversal vehicle. That's my car. Brian, where are we going?
Alamo. I'm so used to saying Alamo Winchester, but this is Alamo Ashburn. Is that what it's called? One Loudon.
For what? Why?
Oh man, double screening of Kill Bill. Is that what you call it? Double screening?
A double feature?
A double feature?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Kill Bill Volumes 1 and 2. I've seen those in the theater back when they came out in October of 03 and April of 04, and seen them multiple
Damn,
times.
13?
Yeah, they came out 6 months apart. But never seen them on the big screen back to back. And I've seen it plenty of times back to back on the small screen when they've marathoned it on like TBS or TNT or FX or one of those.
So it was the edit.
channels.
So it's the edited versions that you see back to back. Because if it's on TBS,
it may have been.
Did you say TNT?
It was one of those paid channels. I can't remember which one, but they had like they kept doing like Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 1, Volume 2 back to back. It may have been something like FX. You know, if it's FX, oh man, that traffic. What is that?
An accident.
Yeah. So we may be giving you play-by-play as we're on our way there. But I've seen it that way, but seeing it this way on the big screen, and is this in Theater A?
It's in Theater A, the big Dolby Atmos.
All right.
Oh man, the sound designing. I don't know if people talk about sound design a lot when they talk about the Kill Bill films, but think about like the first fight between the Bride and Black Mamba.
Yeah.
And how there's no score, there's just that really punched up audio of them trashing that house, that living room, and that kitchen. So that should be, I don't know, I'm excited to hear, not only see what Kill Bill looks like on that screen, but to hear what it sounds like in that auditorium.
Because this isn't just going to be like them projecting the Blu-ray, is it? This is the actual.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. No, that's cool, man. I'm looking forward. And many people know how much I love. I mean, Kill Bill is my favorite Tarantino film. It's one of my favorite films of all time.
Wait, Volume 1? Or do you consider
I
one?
consider both of them as one film. So basically, Volume 1 and 2 is like, I think I have it like in my top 5 movies of all time. I love Kill Bill. There's just something about that film that speaks to me. I love the performances. I love the aesthetic of it. I love what Tarantino does with bringing in the homages from like the Shaw Brothers and old Hong Kong movies. And I don't know, man, like to me that movie just sings to me in so many ways. I just think Tarantino nailed every aspect of those two movies, and with those two movies being completely different in tone and genre from Volume 1 to Volume 2, but to tell a complete story for the bride, Beatrix Kiddo, it just that movie just fucking works, man. I love it. I love that movie.
You know, it just dawned on me. I failed on my opening quote. I didn't get why you did. I didn't get why you did the Jackie Brown quote in relation to our friggin' where we're going, and I did a friggin' Stuber quote. So I would like to formally apologize, and can I resubmit my quote?
Hey, dude.
All right.
Whatever you want to do.
This is Disco as Sonny Chiba as Hattori Hanzo, okay? You ready?
You must have a big garage. You need a Hattori Hanzo the steel.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
That's
all right.
pretty good.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
pretty
you.
good.
Thank you.
I like it.
Well, I am half Japanese. Sonny Chiba is Japanese, so I had to channel my inner Japanese side.
There you go.
All right, proceed. So, with that being said, I guess we could kind of dovetail into your weekend dork, right?
Yeah, man. So basically, I've been rewatching because Tarantino's 9th film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, comes out in like a week and a half. Time is jumbled up when we're headed to Comic-Con, so I can never. So I think it's 2 weeks. 2 weeks from this past Friday. Nonetheless, I'm in the process of doing a rewatch, and I'm watching them in sequential, in release order. And so I figured since we're watching Kill Bill, we're on our way to see Kill Bill, I was like, I gotta get Jackie Brown, because I did watch Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, and I just finished Jackie Brown.
How did Reservoir Dogs play?
Well, I tell you, I do have issues, not issues with Reservoir Dogs, but it still plays very well because the structure of that film and the fact that we're following these men who aren't good guys at all, even though you do empathize with somebody like Harvey Keitel's character, Mr. White, they're all despicable people. But for me personally, and I've said this before, and I know you mentioned this with movies that come out currently, when you look at movies like Black Klansman and stuff like that, like the language for me, it just doesn't sit well with me anymore. And a lot of times it can come off as just maybe Tarantino being sensationalist with that type of language. And I get, I don't know, it's just like for me now, it just doesn't sit as well with me. But with that being said, watching that film and looking how he structures that film with telling this heist gone bad and having it all take place post heist and not really seeing that, and then seeing like all these people try to deductively figure out who the mole is, who the rat in the crew is just fucking amazing. I think it's done just everything about that movie, outside of just my personal issues that I may have with some of the language, is it just works, man. It really works. So I give that movie 3.5 stars. It's it doesn't. I don't hold it as such a high regard as I did in the past. If not, but again, Tarantino for me personally is batting 1,000. Like all his movies are great. But Reservoir Dogs is just not as high for me anymore. But it's still a fantastic film. Pulp Fiction. It deals with some of those same things that I have issues with Reservoir Dogs. But rewatching that movie, man, dude, the one thing, and I think you may have alluded to this before, but when you go to like those different segments, those different vignettes, like each one of those, it's like shit just makes, in each one, and just as those vignettes, all those stories take a left turn and they go bad.
Yep.
And it's about these characters where it's like you're on this road, like how we're driving down this road, and then like some shit happens and you gotta fucking take a detour, and it's like, all right, how the fuck are we gonna deal with this? Like, this wasn't in the plan
at all.
And that shit just goes like left field quick.
Yep.
So I mean, just like with the Bonnie situation, that whole story where, okay, they're going to talk to these guys because these guys fucked over Marcellus Wallace, so they kill the people in there, they take Marvin. They didn't expect to shoot Marvin in the face.
Whoops.
Oh, and now it's like, nope, now they gotta fucking deal with that. Now they gotta deal with the wolf. And then the story takes a whole detour. The whole thing with the gold watch. Like, everything,
Bush,
everything with Bush, everything was going great until his girl forgot the fucking gold watch. But that's not even the left turn.
Nope.
The left turn is when after he kills Vincent, and he's all, and then he runs into Marcellus Wallace, and they go into that auction store,
Zed shop.
the Zed shop. that's when that shit takes a left turn. It's like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, this is turning into something completely different.
Yeah.
So I like how all these different stories, like, they go in this one direction, and it's kind of following those like conventional kind of tropes, but then it just veers off into this fucking just crazy alternate kind of like reality that you just, as a viewer, you did not. I mean, the last thing I expected was to see Marcellus Wallace getting raped with a gimp in the basement. When that Gold Watch segment started, that's the last thing I would have thought about when I initially saw it. So rewatching that, man, like all that stuff is a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of fun. So I dig Pulp Fiction a lot, and then Jackie Brown.
So let me ask you, going into Jackie Brown, like coming off of Pulp Fiction, well, because you got to think, like, from Reservoir Dogs to Pulp Fiction, that's a giant leap in terms of, and in my opinion, of quality and storytelling, right? Because structurally, you have that difference, but also like you said, with Pulp Fiction, you have these separate stories that in a way intertwine, but also each have their beginning, middle, and end. Whereas Reservoir Dogs in and of itself is just one singular narrative structure that doubles back in time and stuff like that, but not to the extent that Pulp Fiction does. So, but then you see the growth in director and writer. You see the growth in Tarantino as a filmmaker between Reservoir Dogs and then Pulp Fiction. But then, like, what was it like rewatching Jackie Brown after having rewatched Pulp Fiction? Because Jackie Brown also in and of itself is a different movie, and it feels different. It
definitely feels different. But I mean, I've seen Jackie Brown a few times, but watching it again today, I realized a couple of things. It's more of a conventional storytelling. It's more of a 3-act structure. So something kind of similar, more so to Reservoir Dogs. So he's not playing around with tropes and conventions and the structure as more so as he did with Pulp Fiction. And so he's kind of telling more of a straightforward narrative story, but within that, this is also the first time he wrote an adaptation. So this is an adaptation.
Actually, like the first and last time, right?
Actually, the first and only time that he's ever done an adaptation, which was of a James Ellroy, I believe, the novelist.
Elmore Leonard, Rum Punch.
Rum Punch, yeah, I know Rum Punch, Elmore Leonard. I don't know, I said James Ellroy, I don't know where that came from. But Elmore Leonard, Rum Punch. And so he basically, it's still his story because he adapted it for the screen, and I know he probably did some creative licensing. I haven't read Rum Punch, but I know he's probably taken some creative licensing with some of the story with that. But with that being said, this is the only story that he did adapt for the screen. So with that being said, I love Jackie Brown because Pam Grier is the standout in that movie. And the thing that really stands out, a lot of people will like point to Ordell, and Ordell is great. Samuel Jackson is amazing in all the performances. You can say that in any Tarantino movie. But watching it this time, something that really stood out because it's more of the subtlety. And with a character like Ordell, you wouldn't necessarily point out subtlety in certain characters, but Robert Forster is absolutely amazing in that movie as Max Cherry, as the bail bondsman. I mean, and the thing I took away from this viewing, there's a conversation that Max Cherry has with Jackie Brown the morning after he drops her off, when she has the interaction with Ordell, when he comes over to try to kill her, and she takes Max's gun and whatnot. So that next morning, she asks him, it's like, do you ever think about getting old? And they always refer to Jackie being like, you're a 44-year-old black woman making $16,000 a year, working for this airline, which is the only airline that you could work for. And so to me, this feels like a story about getting old, about like middle-aged people trying to find, their lot in life. And Jackie Brown found an opportunity where and this is almost kind of like a classic heist film. She found an opportunity where she's like, she's going to use everybody. She's going to use the DEA. She's going to use Ray Nicolette, Michael Keaton, who's also great. She's going to use Ordell, and she's going to use Max Cherry to get this money that Ordell wants to bring back from Cabo San Lucas, this $500,000, and she's going to take off with the money. And it plays great, just like a heist film, especially when they do the trial run for the $10,000 and they do the actual run, the whole thing in the mall, when she brings Max Cherry in, like everything that happens in the dressing room, fucking Robert De Niro and Bridget Fonda, that whole shit. Like this film is filled with just so many rich characters, but at the center of it is this character of Foxy Brown, of Jackie Brown, who is decided to just be like, look, I'm going to take what's mine, or like now
what she feels is owed to her
is what's owed to me, and I've been dealt this hand, but at this time, like I'm gonna take life by his hand and just take what's owed to me. And I love that about her character, and the final scene that she has with her and Max, and that relationship that she has with Max Cherry. It's a really, really sweet relationship at the core of that. Which it's kind of romantic, but they never really take it fully there, because you can see there's still an admiration and appreciation, but there is an attraction there. And you don't see that a lot.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, especially with this movie coming out in '97, especially now with you talk about people talking about female empowerment films and stuff like that. Like, this is stuff that Tarantino was doing, starting with Jackie Brown. You don't see it. Well, I mean, Pulp Fiction, I wouldn't say not necessarily with the Mia character, but from this movie going, and then his next film, which we're going to see now, you could definitely see that he's pushing, like, those strong female characters, like that sense of revenge, that Jackie Brown also has, that we're going to see with The Bride and stuff like that. So I don't know, man. Like, Jackie Brown, that one kind of shot up for me. I've always liked Jackie Brown, and within his filmography, Jackie Brown has always kind of been like high mid-tier. I can't remember where it falls in like my rankings. But this one might jump up. This may jump up past Pulp Fiction for me, and maybe even Django, because my top three Tarantinos is Kill Bill, Death Proof, Django, and Pulp Fiction are my top four. And I think Jackie.
I love you so much that Death Proof is your fucking number two.
Oh, dude, I love Death Proof. Like, me too. I tell you, man, like. There's certain movies that I ain't gonna be moved on this. like King Arthur is one.
I can't believe we're having a conversation where you bring King Arthur up in the same breath as Tarantino.
But a lot of people would say, like, oh, Death Proof ain't. I'm like, yo, fuck that.
Death Proof is great.
I love Death Proof. Like, that, to me, if I was going to introduce somebody as a gateway drug into like Tarantino and his films, I think I would start with a movie like Death Proof, because you get his dialogue, you get characters who understand how to read his dialogue with Tracy Thoms. And the structure and how it's broken into two different parts, how he subverts like some of your expectations. So that's his next film that he did. So I'll probably watch Death Proof maybe tomorrow. I'm gonna try to watch that before I leave to go to San Diego. But it's been fun, man. Like I said, I love Tarantino. I love his filmography. I take some issues with certain things that just don't sit with me over time. But as a filmmaker, dude is, like I said,
so
he's
real quick, because I know it's really easy to go off on it. I mean, because we could have a whole conversation podcast around this, but really, let me just ask you, like, with the issues that you have with Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction to some extent, have you thought as far as if you have issue with the fact that Tarantino is writing those words, or that character is saying those words?
I think now when I look at it, I think it's more so Tarantino writing it, because now I'm thinking to myself, when I watch those films, I'm just thinking to myself, okay, what is that adding to the film? And I know, like, and to somebody who's not familiar with a movie like that, when you're listening to, you know, characters like Harvey Keitel or not Sean Penn, Chris Penn, or somebody like, you know, saying the N-word and doing stuff like that, I'm thinking to myself, like how is this serving the story, you know? And I mean, and some people may be able to explain that. Tarantino may be able to explain that. And I'm just saying, like, for me, it just doesn't sit as well watching that type of stuff, because I don't feel like I need that in that movie in order for me to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, those are just things that it's just, I don't know. It doesn't take away from, you know, my level of enjoyment or how good the movie is, but it's just something I'm just like, I don't know, especially like now, like where I am, like I said, we all grow as people, and then like when we revisit movies just hit us differently as we age, and as we go through different things, and of course, like, you know, everybody knows within the last couple of years how I feel about certain things with police brutality and equality and race relations and profiling and stuff like that, and, you know, the black men that have been getting killed and stuff like that, just things that, like, certain things just don't sit with me as well anymore, you know? So, like, but like with a movie like, say, Black Klansman, because I know you had kind of some stuff, you know, with some of the language in there and the ugliness of that, but like then I take something like that and I just look at, you know, the type of story that's being told, the times that the story is being told, and it kind of fits a little bit more than, you know, something like how I see in Pulp Fiction or Reservoir Dogs. Yeah. Not saying that, you know, Tarantino doesn't have a reason for those characters to say those words or to say that type of dialogue. He very well may, you know, and but I don't know, it's just like over time it just doesn't, you know. Yeah. And that's just me, you know. But again, it doesn't take anything away from those films. Yeah.
All right, that's all you did for this week?
Yeah.
You didn't stream any, you didn't do Stranger Things on Netflix?
No, I'm just not. I might be like the only one. I don't know, because, you know, like, it's like the Game of Thrones thing, and it's different when you have shows on Netflix that you have to binge. It's hard and I know, like, Stranger Things is the thing that's kind of like just kind of grabbed pop culture, and just, you know, everybody is on board with that. I don't know, man. It just hasn't grabbed me. I haven't watched season 2. So it's just not something that appeals to me. Like, I don't rush to have to, oh man, I gotta go watch Stranger Things. Like, I don't know, though. It's like nothing about it. I rewatched Power Rangers because of everything that's all the news that came out about them Xing the sequel, and then Hasbro possibly rebooting that. So I know you tagged me in the article on Facebook, and I read about it a little bit, and so I mentioned, like, you know, how much I love that movie. That's another one that I will not be moved on. It's like Death Proof, King Arthur, Power Rangers. Like, I love that movie and I love that cast. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna rewatch it. So I actually rewatched that before I came over to your place today. And movie still fucking gets me, man. I love that movie. I absolutely love that movie.
Well, at least you have that movie. That movie will always
exactly. I can always watch that anytime, man.
Yep. All right, man. I went to see Crawl. I went to see Stuber. I feel like I saw something else. What did I see at the Alamo recently? Maybe that was because I did a double feature of Stuber and
I saw something because I know you posted about it.
The Art of Self-Defense.
Oh yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Damn, I forgot about that. But, and I don't know why, not because that movie was unremarkable or whatever. I really enjoy that movie. It's a dark, when they say dark comedy, when they describe it as a dark comedy in the ads, it is very apt. That is an apt description.
It feels like a movie that when I saw the trailer, it reminded me of like James Gunn's Super. Something like that. You know, tonally, it kind of. God damn, you've seen Super? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Firstly, I'm surprised you've seen that movie. But you know what? You're not wrong. Like,
I just got that vibe from it when I saw the trailer.
It's sort of like that tonally. You have this guy, damn, I'm really thinking about the comparisons to that. It's super. So yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Rainn Wilson was like a pushover type of guy, really timid or whatever, and because his girlfriend was sleeping with Kevin Bacon, right? Yeah. Like so Jesse Eisenberg's character is like that type of person. He's not having any problems with infidelity or whatever. He's just a single guy, but he's a very timid guy. And whereas Rainn Wilson's character in Super, God, I haven't seen that movie so long, I don't even remember that character's name. Granted, time is not an excuse, because I just saw Art of Self-Defense and I don't remember Jesse Eisenberg's character's name either. But I digress. Whereas Rainn Wilson's character in Super found his strength and courage in behind the mask of a costume. Jesse Eisenberg's character finds strength and courage, behind the yellow belt of his karate gi, right? It's one of those. The Art of Self-Defense is one of those comedies that has like the really, really odd. I want to say it's kind of like it's like those comedies where everyone talks not really monotone, but everyone talks like really straight. They're playing everything like deadpan, right?
So there's no like inflection in their voice. They don't show like a lot of emotion.
Well, that's the thing. Like they actually do, okay. But everything is deadpan. Like there's no winking at. There's not winking at the camera. They're not. Okay. It's not slapstick type of comedy. It's very matter of fact. But then like that shit, just like Super, like that shit gets dark. Like really dark. Yeah. But I don't know. But I enjoyed it. I mean, it's speaking on toxic masculinity and shit like that. But yeah, I don't know. I was really surprised. I wasn't expecting much from it. I just was really interested in seeing it, and I wasn't expecting much from it. But I came away really enjoying it. And then I saw Stuber, or I saw it in the reverse order. Saw Stuber first at the Alamo, starring Kumail Nanjiani and Dave Bautista. If you've seen the trailers, which most likely you have, the movie really is what the trailer is selling. And I feel like, movies like that, the success or failure hinge upon the chemistry between the two leads, right? So, you have your 48 hours / another 48 hours odd couple pairing, with Kumail Nanjiani Stu being an Uber driver who is at the whims of he's in a friend zone with his best friend, and she wants to open up a fitness facility, like what do you call it, like a spin class type of thing. And he is in love with her, but she just doesn't see it. And so basically he's in love with her so much that he's about to go in half on like this fitness place. He's going to be partners with her. So they're opening his business together and whatever. And basically he's just doing it because, he just wants her to see. Be close to her, right? And so meanwhile, Dave Bautista is like the badass cop who plays by his own rules, sort of. He's not really that to that extreme, but he's just a badass cop, right? And something happens to him in the opening of the film that puts him on this path of revenge seeking. He's looking for the people behind this. There's this drug that's going around LA, this synthetic heroin or something like that that's going around LA, and the people behind it, the henchman of the leader of the organization is Iko Uwais from The Raid, and Dave Bautista's character is looking for him. And so one day he gets a tip. He gets an anonymous tip on where this guy is, and he drops everything. And he's like, I gotta go get this guy. Now is my time. I've been waiting years for this. But he had just had like LASIK surgery, and so he can't really see. So he has like these glasses that he has to wear for like a certain period of time while his eyes heal, and he's not allowed to drive, or really shouldn't be doing anything that causes him to use his eyes, more than necessary. So that's how we get him in an Uber with Stu. And Stu is just this mild-mannered, the meek and timid guy who can't really stand up and voice his opinion or voice his feelings in his friendship with his friend. Yeah. So, you have this very, very loud and brash. Actually, I take that back. Dave Bautista isn't loud. And that was one of the things that appealed to me about the dynamic between them. He's not like constantly, come on, Stu, we gotta do this, blah, 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 blah. He talks to him 90% of the time. He talks in his Dave Bautista voice. It's just when Stu like keeps pushing back that Dave Bautista, might raise his voice, or when he's trying to pump Stu up, get him hyped up, get him amped. Come on, you can do it, right? And so they don't really, and that was the thing I liked about it. They don't have the relationship where Dave Bautista is just being mean and cruel to him, and come on, like trying to whip him out of his shell or whatever. But in Dave Bautista's own way, he's trying to do that, but he's never, I don't know, it's not like your typical, pull your gun out, you better fucking drive, and I gotta do this, and da 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 da. It's never like that. And so, but in Kumail Nanjiani, like he's a really good comedian. Like I enjoy his brand of humor. And sorry, Lisa, I know you do too, but this movie is not VF. There is a scene in the when they're having the I think when they are doing not the autopsy, they take a guy to a veterinarian because that's closer than a hospital, I think. The guy got shot or whatever. So there's a V scene in that. But anyway, like Kumail Nanjiani, like he's really good. He plays the straight, not really the straight man, because Dave Bautista's straight. But they both get. That's the other cool part about it. They both get to do like some of the comedy heavy lifting, right?
So it's not like a typical odd couple as you see in a lot.
It's a very atypical odd coupling actually, and I don't know who directed the film, but for what it's worth, like the movie opens like on an action sequence.
I heard because I heard when the reviews were coming out, they were like, yeah, this movie is R-rated, and you know it from the beginning.
Well, yeah, but not just only because of the violence, but I mean like the way it's shot. And granted, like some of the fighting hand to hand can be like, pretty like overly dramatic with like some of the camera shaking, but it's not like Paul Greengrass shaky cam. Yeah. It's not like the Bourne films or whatever. But what I'm just saying is like with just the amount of energy and the way that it was staged, there's a sequence where Bautista is on. They're in this. They're in a hotel. Maybe are they in fucking Vegas? Maybe they're in Vegas. They're in this anyway. They're in this hotel, and the hotel is one of those ones where on the inside you have like the. Not really. When you come out of your hotel room, you look over the side of the railing outside of your hotel room door. You can see like an atrium, like an open atrium in their floors down, right? So there's a sequence where something happens like in one of the hotel rooms or on one of the higher floors, and the guy that they're chasing goes down a couple of levels to the bottom floor, and Dave Bautista, he's trying to chase after the guy, and he's like, screw it, I don't have time to like go down the stairs. So the camera follows him. Like there's a brief moment he's in the hotel room doing some shit. Can't remember if he was fighting or whatever. And then like without missing a beat, he gets up and runs, and the camera's like behind him, and he just jumps off the side. The camera follows him down, and he hits the ground. Like he just slams on the ground, and he gets up, and then he keeps like he's hurt, but he keeps like trying to apprehend like the guy, and like just the way that was shot, I was like, God damn, like you don't even really see that like too much in like dedicated action movies. Cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, cool. And so, and there are several moments in the film where they get close to, or the bad guys get close to them, They get close to the bad guys, or the bad guys get close to them, where an action sequence happens. And the way that is shot, like that, the vet that they take that guy to, that sequence leads into an action sequence within that, in the small confines of that, the veterinarian hospital in the back. Yeah. And the way that was shot was like, it was pretty cool. It harkened me back to the old John Woo days, because like there were squibs, like you just saw like papers and debris like flying everywhere when they were having a shootout. I don't know, I thought it was pretty cool. Okay. So what I'm saying is like I think it's an above average
like
action comedy. Yeah. When I think of action comedies, I think of something like maybe Joyride, Rush Hour. This is like, I would say, a notch or two above Rush Hour in regards to the action.
Oh, you talking about Ride Along?
Ride Along.
I was
what did I say?
I said Joyride.
Joyride. No, rest in peace, Paul Walker. That movie was great. Ride Along. Yeah. This movie is like a couple of notches above that in regards to like first of all, the action like is hard hitting. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's good.
Like I said, that opening sequence, I was like, God damn! Like I was shocked. But the comedy wise, you know, comedy is extremely like subjective, right? So whether or not you'll find that more enjoyable than Ride Along or Rush Hour or whatever, it's definitely more funny than Joyride.
I would hope so.
By proxy. So I don't know, like whether you like Kumail Nanjiani or Dave Bautista's brand of humor, you know, your mileage may vary, but definitely like as far as if you do dig them, then I think you'll be surprised and entertained by them. And then when they're thrown into sequences in situations that, you know, require them to be running from or shooting at bad guys, I think you'll be entertained as well. So I really dug it. What else was I watching this weekend on Netflix? I already finished Stranger Things. You know what? That's just not my. It's just not. I get the nostalgia factor of it, but that kind of wore off for me. Like after the first season. Granted, I watched the second and third, and you know, on their own, they're to me, in my opinion, they're average at best. Yeah. There are things I like about all three seasons and specific characters, but like narratively, like with this season, like I feel like we're retreading some of the same elements of the previous seasons, and to me, like I'm not really looking for that. But you know, I am interested in where this season ends and leaves off, because I've read post, you know, the show coming out that the Duffer Brothers say that the way the season ends, it does open up the potentiality for the next season to take place outside of, I was about to say Pawning, I miss Parks and Recreation. Outside of, is it Indiana where this takes place?
Yes, it's in Indiana, but I can't remember what.
Yeah, Hawkins.
Yeah,
so it's possible that the next season will take place, or at least have a large part of it take place outside of Hawkins, Indiana, which I would like if they did switch up, you know, the location, and hopefully that would necessitate like story elements, you know, being different and fresh because of the fresh location. Because character-wise, you have to deal with these characters dealing with a new environment, so that automatically puts them in a different headspace in regards to things, because you're dealing with a new environment wherever you are. Plus, you're going to have to deal with the return of the Upside Down. So I don't know. I feel like that to me would be more interesting as far as I'm concerned. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. Also this week, which we will be talking about when we come back from the break, I saw in theaters, is Crawl. Yeah. The most recent film from
Alexandra Aja.
I like the way you say Aja. The Blue Raja. He is not a mystery man. He is the director of The Hills Have Eyes. He also did Piranha. Yeah. Did he do High Tension?
I have no idea.
I feel like I don't know why I want to say he did High Tension. Anyway, the film stars the young lady from Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Tells No Tales. I'm sorry, it's what is Jeffrey Rush?
Oh, really? That's what she was from?
Yeah, Jeffrey Rush's daughter. There was revealed that he was her dad. That's her.
I don't remember those movies at all.
God damn it, shame on you. Those movies are great, except for the third one. But yeah, anyway, and also stars Barry Pepper, and it stars a bunch of alligators. I was about to say sharks.
Yeah.
It stars a bunch of alligators. So when we come back from the break, we'll be doing our review for that. So if you haven't seen it, you know what? Spoiler alert.
It's pretty good. I enjoyed it.
It's not a bad film.
Yeah.
It's not a bad film. So go check it out before we spoil it. So yeah, we'll be back right after the break.
Hey, this is Liz from People I Think Are Cool, a bi-weekly podcast where I interview my favorite creatives from across the globe. If you're looking for a dose of creative inspiration, then go to peopleithinkarecool.com or subscribe to People I Think Are Cool on iTunes and Stitcher.
You like film, from cult to classic, from blockbuster to B-movies. And there just isn't that one place with all the fan fervor and passion that's covering the kind of mad, diverse brilliance that you love.
Well, that's where you're wrong.
AfterMovieDiner.com is that fan-built movie nirvana just for you, featuring the sweet, sweet writings of the wife dork herself. AfterMovieDiner.com. Go there. Be the best you can be.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. This week's review cast is for Crawl. Wah. Wah.
Alligators.
Isn't that how the trailer goes? Wah.
Yeah, that's when the levees break.
Yes. Oh
That's
yeah.
the horns in the movie.
That's
the
right.
Levees,
Full disclosure, we are about to spoil the film. Well, Brian's about to spoil it because
You saw it?
I do, but I can't remember a lot of it.
Oh, God, dude. What is going on?
I'm just kidding. Look, that was like was that a double? You know what? I can't even use the excuse that was like a double movie day. I saw that one like.
And that's why I'm like, y'all need to slow down with watching so many movies in such a short period of time.
But Brian,
y'all motherfuckers don't remember the shit.
Brian, I could watch one movie and watch nothing else for an entire week, and my memory is shot. My memory is shot this year. You've known this for almost a decade now. So yeah, but I was gonna say something, and I don't want to spoil the review, but I would just say this. I remember some things. I remember a lot. Okay, I remember a lot. I remember enough. Okay, so
yeah. I mean, for me, I guess if we're doing our good, bad, and the ugly, I'll start with my good.
All right.
There's a lot that I really liked about this film.
Well, let's talk about it. God damn it!
For me, it was the theater experience of just like that adrenaline rush of seeing like these alligators and seeing like the character Haley and Barry Pepper, who played her dad.
Thank you for remembering her name.
Yeah, and her sister Beth, who she talked to on FaceTime, who's in Boston, I think, maybe. I don't know, I can't remember that. But we'll get to the bad. That's some stuff that's more forgettable.
Oh, damn.
But it was really how they were able to build the suspense and build the tension and build the scares with these alligators. And again, I love movies that are contained thrillers. And the fact that a lot of this movie takes place in a house, and more specifically in a basement underneath the house, where these alligators came in through one of the drain, like through the drain pipe system from the lake that the house sits on, or like right on the edge of the lake where the house sits on. I thought all that stuff really works because you look at this premise, man, just the whole premise of, okay, there's a hurricane, which hurricanes come through Florida a lot, and you're trapped in this house and alligators come in. I was like, why the fuck didn't anybody think of this before? I mean, it's such a clever premise and such
it's plausible. And
an innovative one and a plausible one, and one that really just, I mean, that sells the suspense.
Wait,
itself.
so when she's driving down the road going to the house in the beginning of the movie, she passes by that alligator farm. Were some of those alligators from that farm?
Possibly.
Okay.
I don't even remember.
Yeah, she's driving in her Jeep, and it's a quick shot. It says something alligator farm. She sees a sign, like a billboard or a sign. Like if she had made a right, she would have turned down onto the premises of this alligator farm.
Okay.
And so,
yeah, I
was wondering if I missed something because, spoiler alert, it's not just one alligator that she has to contend with.
No. Well, in the beginning, there's one that gets attacked when she finds her father, because basically the premise is that the hurricane is coming. Her sister calls her. She's like, look, I can't get in touch with Dad. Can you go to the house and check to see if he's okay? She goes to the house. We'll get into a lot of the family drama. This is a house that they're selling because the dad and the mother are separated or divorced or whatnot. So the house is in escrow. She goes there. She can't find him. She sees like there's some tools or stuff that's under the sink, so she thinks that he's underneath the house. She goes underneath the house, finds him passed out with like a gash on his shoulder. So she tries to pull him up to get him back to the stairs, and that's when we get our first jump scare with the alligator is sitting behind the stairs, and he pops back and basically like shatters the stairs so they can't get back up to the first floor of the house. And she has to drag him. She has him on like some tarp, and she's dragging him away from the alligator. And yeah, man, I don't know. I thought so. They had to contend with one alligator, but then like she drops her phone, and then she has to try to go get her phone, and then she realizes that there's two alligators there, and then that's when one of the alligators bites down on her leg and like is swinging her back and forth. So I thought all of those moments really worked. The suspense and everything worked with the alligators. And yeah, man, and then like especially when we get towards the end of the film and they're trying to make their way up the house, and especially with dealing with a director like Alexandre Aja, who's done movies like Piranha 3D and The Hills Have Eyes, who's familiar with genre filmmaking and also familiar with some of the more gory aspects of those type of genre films.
Yeah.
Like he lets the camera sit when you realize how injured Barry Pepper is. And you know me with broken bones, especially like when you see like bones like when they protrude through the skin.
Yeah.
And the way he has to like try to
tourniquet.
Yeah, and then like make a splint for his, oh god, and the way they show the bone and yeah, it's ooh. And then even at the end, so this is a spoiler, when they get to the flare, he gets flares, and he
I knew that shit was
and
bad.
yeah, and the joint bites his arm and then rips his, oh dude, like that shit was fucking crazy, man. But Haley is a swimmer, and a little kind of a little wink that she goes to University of Florida, the Florida Gators. So, and she's on the swim team, and so that brings in some of the family drama, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, man, I just thought all that stuff, I mean, it's pretty much a straightforward kind of horror suspense thriller. You know, in the same vein of how we talked about The Meg last year, I think this is a much better movie.
Whoa!
Oh, hell yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because this movie delivers on what it's on what it's giving you. Like, as far as it being a scary movie with alligators attack you, like The Meg was fun for what it is, but I just thought it was just a little too light and a little too more adventurous than scary, which I think a movie like The Meg, you could have really made that a more horrific type of movie. But because that was PG-13, you got Jason Statham, you know, it's a movie that higher production budget, it's got that sheen on it, you know, it's just like, it looks real glossy, it's just like, oh, you know, this is one of our high profile movies. This movie just feels grimy. This movie just feels like...
Well, because they're under a goddamn house.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. Like, I like that about it, though, man. But, yeah, those are some of my goods, man.
All right. Wow. You know what? Speaking of throwback to the first half, The Meg is a movie that I will not be moved. That movie's great.
Okay. that was your birthday.
I was about to say I might be biased because that was my birthday movie. But for the good, I would have to say, I think, you know, like, I guess I would say is Alejandra?
I think Alexandra or
because he's French, I think, or something like that.
It might be Alejandra Aja.
Yeah. Well, I would say he's the good, like in his directing, right?
Okay.
Because you know, because as easy as it may look to take a simple premise and make, an entertaining film, like, it's also easy to screw that up.
True.
And fumble it up. I mean, there have been plenty of films that have a really simple premise and the ball has, gets dropped on either the narrative or characterizations or action or whatever. What any other one, one of the other elements involved in that story being cohesive, right? But I feel like, directing wise, because I read an article about after the release of the film, talking about his experiences shooting this film, and following up Piranha, and he said that when he made Piranha, he had underestimated the difficulties of shooting on and underwater. And after that experience with that film, he was like, man, I'm not doing that shit again. Yet, fast forward to now, and here we have Crawl. And so he said that he was quickly reminded, of why he said he'd never do it again once he started making Crawl. And I read that article before watching the movie. So when I was watching the movie, I was thinking about that article, and the shots under the house in those tight, cramped quarters. And granted, there's some CGI. So there's actually quite a bit of CGI in the film, obviously, because for one, it's not filmed on location in Florida. It was filmed in Belfast and also Serbia.
Oh wow!
On some sets, and so that whole I don't even know what you would call it. Not even a town, but that whole area of the out front of the house and the gas station across the street, all that was like a closed set.
Yeah, it felt like a closed set.
Yeah, so that was in Serbia or Belfast, one of the two. So anyway, but even with that, when they're in the house, when they're under the house, more specifically, and you have those close quarters and you have that griminess that you were talking about, all of that was firstly really effective as a set piece and a location, but just the way that what it lent to the feel of the film as far as the characters, because when Haley, that's her name, right?
Yeah. When
she's under there, and it just feels uncomfortable. She's got bite wounds. My medic mind is going, okay, she's gonna die from infection because that wound, she didn't cover it up, and now she's in there putting her hands in alligator eggs and shit, and then she's gonna touch her other wound. So I'm just thinking sepsis is gonna set, but because of the effectiveness of the production design, but just the immediacy of those close quarters and how he films it. So I really appreciated that, and her as a character. And while I may have issues with the script, I do feel like performance-wise, I felt like she did really good. Yeah, she did really well. And so, I also Barry Pepper, and again, while I may have issues with the script as far as his dialogue is regarded, Barry Pepper's great, even when he's in movies that are not great or has a script that ain't the best. Barry, it's always good he's a really good character actor and fun character actor to watch.
Because he doesn't pop up a lot.
Not a lot.
In movies, so it's always good to see him.
But when he does, I feel like he makes a lasting impression, right? And so I feel like I said, even with my issues with some of the script and the dialogue or the story choices, whatever, I feel like both he and Haley, as far as their father-daughter dynamic, worked really well.
Yeah, I really bought them as father and daughter. Like I said, it was more so. I mean, we can get into some of the bad, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess it was just more so the dialogue and the scripting of how they handle some of that family drama, and then the movie focusing so much on that to really just try to sell that final moment, when she grabs that flare to stick to, because of her being the apex predator, and her father being her trainer, and then her feeling like she's failing at what she with her swim meets, and so this is her chance to so they really tried to play that, and a lot of that stuff kind of came off a little laughable. And just even some of the dialogue, when she was having those conversations with her sister on FaceTime, Like, I was like,
in the very beginning.
My God, man, that sound like some shit I would have wrote in fucking school, in like my script writing class.
Yikes!
Like he was talking about, I saw your boyfriend Wayne. It's like, oh, he was not my boyfriend. It's like, oh yeah, when y'all were in the basement that time, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe you remember. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, yo, it's like dude, this shit is.
That's how sisters talk, man.
This is so hammy. Like it's ridiculous. Oh God, it was the worst. That dialogue was cringeworthy. Oh man, I was like, bro, this is like.
Look, maybe you just can't relate because you never had a sister. You have a brother, but maybe sisters talk like that.
No, I mean I can understand like sisters going through stuff like having like situations and like stories like that.
They just don't say that shit.
They don't say it like that. But so like it was really a lot of that stuff, man, and you know, the stuff with the mother and like it felt like the movie was going too far out of its way to try to explain the family melodrama. And I didn't feel like you needed all that. All you really needed was to like set it up in the beginning and then just have the interaction between Haley and Barry Pepper's character in the basement, because you see that connection that they have, that rift that they have, but the love that she still has for her father, with him being her former coach and him not coming to the meets, you know, and stuff like that. So it felt like a real father-daughter relationship, and I thought that's all you really needed for the crux of that movie, especially for that type of movie. We didn't need to go that far into it, and if we did, it just the scripting of it needed to be a little better, a little tighter for me. So that was really my main issue with the film.
I would say that's my bad as well. But you know, like so much so, like it hampered my enjoyment of the film.
See, it was opposite for me.
That coupled with the fact that you saw that movie with a good crowd.
I did.
I went as soon as I got off work on Friday, so I went at like 5 p.m.
Okay. So
it was probably like maybe 8 people in the theater with me, right? So I should have waited till like the 7 or 9 or 10 o'clock showing.
Okay.
You know, because I felt like, because even with, but you know, to the movie's credit though, even with the 7 or 8 people that were in the theater, like there were moments that I could tell, like if I were in with a big crowd, I guarantee I know which moments hit for your crowd. Because even with those 7 or 8 people, like there were like audible, oh shit, oh, you know, gasp and stuff like that. So I felt like if this is one of those movies that if I had seen with a crowd, it would have enhanced my enjoyment of the film. And I love when movies do that. I love that about the theater going experience too. And I'm not saying like a movie should hinge on whether or not you see it with a crowd or a bunch of people, but I feel like it's a bonus, an added bonus, if the movie has that strength to be able to be better with a crowd.
Yeah, and I think because I rated it on Letterboxd 3.5, and because I really dug the movie, and I thought like a lot of the I was gonna say crocodile, but the alligator moments, and the horror moments really worked effectively, and the crowd experience, man, just it was like, I know if I saw it again, it'd probably be a straight 3-star movie, but just for that experience I had and the stuff that I really liked, I gave it 3.5 stars, man. I thought it was really effective.
All right, what about The Ugly?
I guess The Ugly, man, like some of them, like I talked about it in my good, like the way Alejandro Aja deals with those gory moments, man, the bones breaking and the way he lets the camera stay on those shots of broken bones and protruding bones. Oh God!
Because when he bit your man arm off when he was holding the flare out, like like the shot wasn't like a really quick snap cut to the bone and then cut away. Like the shot was on the arm for at least like 3 seconds before the arm even broke, and then once it broke, you linger for like another 2 seconds, and then then he tears it off. That was great. That was great.
Yeah, it was ugly.
And that was a practical effect too.
Oh really?
Yeah, that wasn't CGI.
Well, I didn't even think. I mean, I don't really think about that, but
which I appreciate. It just, again, that lent itself to the, like you said, the grittiness of it, because when they're on sets, right? There's no green screen as far as when she's under the house or when she goes through like the sewage thing, like that, like on stuff like that. Like, oh, that was that was like a set. And granted, like there's the underwater stuff, there may have been some green screen stuff there, but
yeah.
I don't know. And for the CGI, like with the alligators,
I thought alligators
that shit
really
was
good.
great.
I commented on that afterwards. I thought the alligators looked really good.
Yeah.
The only other ugly, it was the fact that I could feel like, okay, right now we're dealing with a lot of humidity here in the DC area, and we know how Florida is with like the humidity, with swamp areas, mosquitoes.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, like watching that area, especially when they're under the house and it's just dirty. Like it's just like I could smell it, I could feel it. Almost like it did a really good job of giving me a sense of what that felt like.
Yeah.
Like I could feel getting bitten by mosquitoes.
Dog, you know what? Because you know in at Gallery Place, and several movie theaters have this, but you know in Gallery Place in DC, they have at the Regal, they have the 4D. They have a 4D auditorium that does like the lights, the wind, the rain and stuff like that, and the smells. So imagine watching this in that auditorium, like when the hurricane is coming, they're spraying like mist and water and stuff and wind, and then when you're under that house, you smell like rotten garbage or some shit.
God, dude, that shit was disgusting. Yeah, that's probably my ugly.
Oh yeah, my ugly. I've already mentioned it offhandedly. Is basically like, you know, her being underneath that house in those, you know, in that sewage drainage area, and swimming like with all those open wounds. Like, you know, me overthinking. Like I said, my medic, you know, mind is just like, oh my god, like she's gonna survive this ordeal just to die of sepsis. And then Barry Pepper gets his arm ripped off, and I was like, oh, he's definitely gonna die of sepsis. Like.
Jesus.
But yeah, man. Like, you know, all in all, I enjoyed it. I just wish that I had seen it with a crowd.
Yeah, these type of movies like this. I mean, you can say about any movie, but specifically movies like this. Yeah. You could tell Alejandro Aja was making this for that type of experience. Yeah. You know, just one of those crowd pleasing movies that you can yell at the screen. Yeah. And shit like, you know, it was a lot of fun. The crowd I saw it with, man, they were laughing, they was screaming. You know, of course, all the stuff with the dog, Sugar.
You know, oddly enough, you know what moment got the biggest reaction? And it was really from like I could tell it was like a young dude, probably in his 20s, this brother. So like, you know, the moment in the trailer when she's in the shower, and then she's like, all right, come on. And then she opens the shower door.
Oh, yeah.
And
and then
and they cut away in the trailer. What you don't see is like what she does. Because I know people are like, well, how the hell she's going to get out of that? Well, spoiler, I'm going to tell you. So she opens the sliding shower door. The alligator comes in. And as it comes in, she jumps over the top. She puts her foot on like the faucet and like the soap dish. And she catapults herself. She springboards over the top of the shower door, and it's in slow motion. And as she does it, all of her body gets over, and then the only thing that's on the other side is her foot. And as she's going over, like the alligator jumps up and just barely misses her foot. And like everybody in there, but this one that really struck the core of this one dude.
Same.
He was like, oh! And like, granted, this dude had seen like people's arms get ripped off and snatched down in the basement, but for whatever reason, her foot, he connected with her foot so deeply.
It had the same reaction in my theater too. Everybody was like, "Oh shit!"
Because that was so close, and I thought that was really well done.
Oh man, it was, man. That was fun, man. That was a fun film. So I'm interested to see what it does this weekend at the box office, because they didn't screen that for critics, because a lot of times studios would get nervous if they think like this is a movie that they're either going to dump or they're scared that and this movie has like an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Damn.
So majority of critics like this movie. So, and that's why people were saying like studios, they did a disservice to this film, because they probably could have had a bigger box office if they would have had early screenings for critics and for them to kind of, you know, hype up that buzz. But it just felt like the studio maybe didn't have faith in the movie, but people are responding to it, you know?
And that's good. Hopefully he'll find his legs like on home video and stuff like that. But I think because with the summer months, like what else is coming out this weekend?
Well, the big one, The Lion King. which that is already getting mixed reviews.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, because they feel like this is a copy and paste, and it's pretty much telling the same story, and they're like, what's the point of doing this movie if you're basically just retelling the same exact story?
But you know what? Those people who say that, if Disney had took license and deviated from that cartoon,
then they
man, them people would have lost their shit. Like, if people would be up in arms. That's not my Lion King.
Exactly.
So you're not
like,
going to be able to
have
please.
it both ways.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't know how I feel about. I mean, Lion King was one of my most anticipated movies of the year.
Yeah.
And because it's one of my favorite, maybe my favorite Disney animated feature, especially from that. I forget what they call that era from the late '90s. That I don't know, the Renaissance era. But that movie just, I love that original movie. So, but
you know what? I don't understand why people don't try to look at it like Hamlet, right? Like, there have been so many different so many different films about that story, plays.
Yeah.
When you go watch that play, it's the same story as the film for the most part, right? Like, or one of the films, they're all the same. It's just a different actor's interpretation of how he performs it, right? It's just a different costume designer's interpretation of what they look like. It's just a different presentation of it. But at the core, it's the same story with the same beats and the same themes and the same narrative, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. People could do well to just look at it like that.
I mean, you're right, and like I said, I mean, this is a new Lion King for a new generation. So, like, for people who are coming up, it's easy for people to say, "Oh, well, just show them the original film," and you can show them the original film. But for people like Sia, who's going to grow up watching this movie, like when she gets older, this could be her interpretation. This could be her Lion King. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't take anything away from the original animated movie.
And this generation of kids, like the 2D cell animation that Disney did with the original Lion King, it may not strike the same chord with this generation of kids who have grown up on Pixar.
Exactly.
Who've grown up on 3D, animation, or the new animation techniques. Even when it comes to 2D animation, 2D animation still does not look like how it used to look back in the days. And so, I don't know, it may not resonate the same way. Like, we have a nostalgia for that because when we initially saw that was all we had, right?
Exactly.
So, I don't know, like, I just feel like this movie coming out, with it being different or the same, does not, like every other reboot or remake, does not stop the original from existing.
It does.
Like, it will always exist, and you can always go back and rewatch it and have two different interpretations of it. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Well, that being said, because
we're gonna be in San Diego when that comes out.
Yes. And so with that being said, like, I won't, because I was never really a huge fan of the original Lion King. I don't have any expectations going into it. I just want to see an enjoyable film, and from the looks of it, like, that's what I've been hearing. It is that, so I'll be happy.
Yeah, I can't. It goes back to what you were saying about Toy Story 4. I mean, if you're a critic and that's your job, okay, I get that you have to put reviews out and talk about the movie, but for everybody else, like, I can't get too. Like, I can't be too critical of a kid's movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna get up in arms and say, like you say, it's not my Lion King. Like, I'm 41 years old. It's Lion King. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and like, get all critical over a kid's movie.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and some people may see
your
it
movie's coming out a few weeks after that. It's called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Exactly.
That's your movie.
Exactly. I mean, I can go and enjoy it. If I like it, if I don't, okay, then let it be. But I'm not gonna go online.
And it's so funny because at the end of the day, I guarantee you, if those reviewers who had all these issues with the film, these adult reviews, I guarantee you, if you go to a child and ask them what they thought of the movie, they probably wouldn't bring up any of these problems. Like, I guarantee you. Because, kids are less cynical.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They're less cynical.
And I mean, kids want to see, like, real. I mean, even though these are visual effects, they want to go see real animals.
The magic of that has not waned on them. It's still cool to see an animal that looks like a live action animal talking. And so, But for us, we're adults. That's just CGI. We're thinking about the actor in the booth recording that. Oh, that's Beyonce. A kid is just seeing an animal that looks like something they just saw in the zoo 2 weeks ago.
Exactly.
And it's a voice coming out of his mouth, right?
And that's,
like I said, kids are less cynical, so they're able to find the magic and enjoyment out of shit like that.
Yeah, man.
So,
let's enjoy it.
All right, man. So we're at the Alamo Draft House now. We got a few minutes to kill before we go in. I'm going to order this Lucifer pizza.
Ditto.
And we're going to watch Kill Bill Volumes 1 and 2 back to back. I'm just really looking forward to this.
Dude, I'm really excited. Honestly, this may be one of the highlights of, like, one of the most anticipated things I'm doing this summer, because I love this movie. So I can't wait.
In the meantime, be on the lookout, because later on in the week, and another reason why this screening is so cool is because this is on the cusp of us going out to the West Coast for our annual pilgrimage to the San Diego Comic-Con. And so we'll be leaving on Wednesday. Yeah. That starts Thursday, Friday through Saturday and Sunday. We will be posting a lot on social media. So if you aren't following the podcast, just follow us at ItModcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. It's very important you do that if you care at all about the goings-on over there, because we will be bombarding social media with pictures, with video. We'll be going live. We may be doing some impromptu mini episodes while we're waiting in line and stuff like that, to share the Comic-Con experience to all of you who unfortunately could not make it out there with us. We wish you could be there, so we will do our best to make sure you feel like you are there.
Yeah, and make sure you hashtag ItModCon.
Yes.
Because everything, if you want to follow us and all of our goings-ons, because, all the dorks will not be together at all times, so you'll get a lot of different stuff if you want to get the full coverage of Comic-Con. And, when we post, we'll be hashtagging ItModCon.
Yep.
So make sure you follow ItModCon, and you can get all of the pictures and videos and all the goodness going on through ItMod.
Yes. Wife Dork and Mouth Dork were so excited to get to San Diego Comic-Con that they left today.
They might
so
be
they're already there. They have landed, so they're gonna prepare San Diego for Turtle Dork and I. They have to get it ready. It's like they're pillow fluffers. Mm-hmm. And San Diego Comic-Con is a pillow, so they're fluffing our pillow for us. So when we land, it'll be ready for us.
Yep.
So, but you can follow them in the meantime, because Brad is gonna definitely be tweeting out already and taking pictures about because it's cool. Because San Diego, we say it all the time, San Diego transforms for San Diego Comic-Con. And when I say that, I mean that the entire Gaslamp district, the entire city of San Diego, you'll see banners up with Comic-Con related things, Marvel Studios stuff, like whatever is gonna be there. There'll be decorations adorning all manner of things in that area, and so Brad will definitely be chronicling that and posting pictures. So follow him at Mouth Dork on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Letterboxd, and Untappd. Wife Dork is at Sidewalk Siren on Twitter and Instagram. She's also at Bake Dork on Twitter and Instagram, and she's at Sidewalk Siren on Letterboxd. B is at the Turtle Dork on Twitter, the Turtle Dork 1 on Instagram, and at Brian William Young on Facebook. And I am Darren Smith, the Disco Dork, on all social medias. That is going to do it for us. Enjoy the rest of the week. Get ready, everyone. San Diego Comic-Con 2019 is upon us.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of your week. Stay tuned. And until next time.